نحن دعمنا سوريا لأنها في الموقع المعادي لإسرائيل وساهمت في تعزيز قدرات المقاومة عبر أراضيها للبنان وفلسطين. أما الآن فقد سقط النظام على قدر المساواة وتبادل الإمكانات. نتمنى أيضا أن تعتبر هذه الجهة الحاكمة الجديدة إسرائيل عدواً.
Crush Kurdish autonomy in the north of Syria, but what of the new regime in Damascus? How will the HTS seek to regulate its relations with Syria's largest ethnic minority, whose administration is committed to secular governance? Joining me now on set, France 24's Rob Parsons is here with me today. Rob, let's start with the new interim government in Damascus. How does the HTS appear to see its relation with the Kurds?
Has been unsympathetic towards the Kurds as well. But the reality that HTS faces, trying to set up a new administration whose writ spreads right throughout Syria, is that the Kurds, which make up about 10% of the population, perhaps a little bit less, control about 25% of the territory of Syria, including much of the oil field territory. In other words, land that is very important. For a fact, the Kurds have preempted them on that. They're saying, this is what we want. This is what we're prepared to fight for, although they also recognize the authority of Damascus over the whole of Syria. But they want autonomy. And that is potentially a big problem for Damascus. At the same time as that, there's the relationship with Turkey as well. Turkey is hostile to the Kurds, is trying to has set up effectively a buffer just inside the Syrian border. On the one hand, HTS may be thinking, well, that's not bad for us, that weakens the Kurds. But on the other hand, the problem for them is that it strengthens the role of Turkey inside Syria as well.
Rebels from the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS group, taking over Syria's capital Damascus, spurring celebration in some parts of the world and silence in others. One big winner so far is Turkey and its president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, long a major supporter of HTS and other Sunni Muslim opposition groups. Turkey is also eager to resettle more than 3 million Syrian refugees that it has taken in since the civil war began. Turkish companies might gain lucrative contracts in rebuilding the country. Turkey also has many military positions inside Syrian territory, and it may move to overthrow a longtime nemesis, the Kurdish Autonomous Administration in northeastern Syria.
آمدن که به مسئله چاره سر بکن او شروان ای کرد ای کن نه ام بیجن ای کرد ای کو ام بی هات مالی کاری ما بکر ایدی اونا دکارن یعنی وگرن جی خون قسم جوان ذاتی نا وگریانه خازم وگرن ایدین جی یعنی بوجهی که وگری ام کن یعنی دست پی بکن او ویم باشین هل بتن جبونا کوفاوری کرینجی ام بحاجتي ميكانيزم كينا بحاجتي.
Mr. President, I say this gently, respectfully, but gently. President Erdogan, the distinguished president of Turkey, leave the Kurds alone. Leave the Kurds alone. Kurds, as you know, Mr. President, are wonderful people. There are probably 30 to 40 million Kurds throughout the world. Some we're blessed to have here in the United States. They live mostly in Turkey, Iran, northern Iraq, and Syria. The Kurds are a distinct ethnic group. They're sort of a stateless country because they're spread all over the world. The Kurds are America's friends. Hadn't been that many years ago since ISIS was rising high. ISIS had established a caliphate in the Middle East. That's a fancy word for a country. The people most responsible for helping us, most responsible for destroying ISIS were the Kurds. We lost less than 20 American lives in destroying ISIS in the Middle East. Our friends from Kurd lost over 10,000. 10,000 fighting alongside us. Over 30,000 Kurds were wounded. Without the Kurds, ISIS would still be there. Now, Mr. Erdogan, the president of Turkey, does not like the Kurds. I'm not going to go into why. He's entitled to his opinion. But right now, Mr. Erdogan has troops and tanks and weapons marshaled on the border between Turkey and Syria. As we know, the people of Syria finally had enough. And they overthrew Mr. Assad, their president. The people of Syria today are free, and they're entitled to self-determine. Mr. Erdogan in Turkey, I worry, is going to invade Syria. I'm not accusing him of anything, but I worry that he is, because we have intelligence that he has many soldiers and many tanks and much equipment and many weapons right now stationed on the border between Turkey and Syria. And our Kurd friends are afraid that Mr. Erdogan, because of his hatred for the Kurds, is going to attack them. The Kurds live very peacefully in northeast Syria. So my message today is, President Erdogan, I don't want to mess with the affairs of your country, but don't do it. Leave the Kurds alone. Leave the people of Syria alone. Turkey has problems now. Turkey's supposed to be our friend. Turkey's a member of NATO. Lately, they haven't been acting like our friend. Turkey has its own problems. The interest rates, we think interest rates are high in America. They're close to 50% in Turkey. Some people think they're in a recession. Their inflation is between 40 and 50%. If you invade Syria and touch a hair on the head of the Kurds, I'm going to ask this United States Congress to do something. And our sanctions are not going to help the economy of Turkey. I don't want to do that.
From the point of view of the United States, however, the situation is complicated, and this is why they support the SDF and the Kurds in northern Syria, because of the role they've been playing in fighting against the Islamic State. Critical to destroying the Islamic State in northern Syria with the help of the United States. And today they play a key role in guarding the prisons where Islamic State prisoners are held, about 10,000 prisoners. Without the Kurdish guards there, they could very easily just escape. What the Kurds are saying is that as Turkey starts attacking them in the northwest of Syria, they're being forced to move their guards away from the prisons to fight against the attacks from the Turks, increasing the possibility of a breakout of prisoners of IS prisoners in northern Syria. The United States clearly opposed to that idea. The last thing it wants is for Islamic State to exploit a possible vacuum of power in Syria, and is trying to put pressure on the Turks to slow down or to stop its operations against the Kurds. So far, however, it doesn't seem as if the Turks are listening to the Americans.